5 years of dating, 7 years of marriage, from school uniforms to a wedding dress. Bai is the perfect husband in everyone's eyes. His memos are filled with my preferences. He takes care of all the housework, his monthly salary is submitted on time, and the house is only in my name. Friends always joke, if you two break up, I'll never believe in love again. I used to believe it too. Until that day at dinner, his chopsticks didn't move, his eyes glued to his phone. I looked at the bowl and said calmly, dumplings that are cooked for too long will stick to the bottom of the pot. Without looking up, he coaxed me skillfully, don't be mad, wifey, I'll definitely pay attention next time. Besides, these dumplings are stuck tight, just like us, inseparable. I knew he was working, and there was no one else. But I just didn't want to go on anymore. I looked at him and whispered the second half of the sentence, what I mean is, let's get a divorce. Upon hearing this, Bai's phone slammed to the ground. He stood up abruptly. Almost habitually, he reached out to rub my head. Like countless times in the past when he was coaxing me. I dodged. His hand froze in midair, his face full of unprepared blankness and panic. Yen. His voice was dry. His eyes swept over the bowl of dumplings, as if he had grasped some reason. It must be the dumplings, right? They're all stuck, they don't taste good, it's my fault. I'll cook you a new bowl right away, it'll be ready soon. He grabbed my bowl and rushed into the kitchen, turning on the faucet, and the rushing sound of water immediately filled the room. He stood with his back to me, his shoulders tense. No need. My voice was not loud, but every word was clear. The sound of water stopped. He froze in front of the sink, his back frozen, with only slightly rapid breathing. He wouldn't turn around. And I didn't want to keep pretending to be confused with him. You understand what I mean, I don't want to continue living with you anymore. After I finished speaking, I didn't look at his back anymore. The chair scraped. I got up, took the keys, changed my shoes, and opened the door. It was a little windy outside. I wrapped my coat tighter and hurried downstairs. My mind was only thinking, my daughter will be out of school soon. Across the driveway at the entrance of the neighborhood is the commercial building. That burst of energy from just now was scattered a bit by the wind, leaving only a heavy weariness. Bai's stiff back in his words, almost done, resurfaced. Arriving outside the dance studio, bright glass doors, music. A row of little girls in pink leotards, standing on tiptoe. My eyes quickly found my daughter. She was standing on the side, her little face tense, sweaty wisps of hair sticking to her forehead, her eyes fixed on the mirror, exceptionally earnest. The music stopped, and the children scattered to find their parents. My daughter also turned her head, anxiously searching the crowd at the door. Seeing me, her eyes lit up instantly, a smile blossoming, like a little bird flying towards me. Mommy! Mayan Bai's daughter is named Shueyan. Her nickname is Sway. The origin of this name is very simple. We got together on Christmas Eve and also proposed on Christmas Eve. Peace year after year. Sway ping and may you have peace year after year. This is a common Chinese saying. Coincidentally, my birthday is also on Christmas Eve. Looking at Sway's smiling face as she rushed into my arms, I suddenly remembered my 18th birthday. It was senior year of high school, and there was a practice exam the next day. I closed my eyes in front of the candles, just about to make a wish. Bang! My mother, without warning, slammed the knife, fork, and plate for cutting the cake onto my father's face. Cream smeared all over his face. My wish caught in my throat, I suddenly opened my eyes, my face pale. This wasn't the first time they had argued, they had been arguing since I was little. But this was the first time they had fought on my birthday table. My dad wiped his face and roared, "Are you crazy? It's our daughter's birthday today. You still know you have a daughter?" My mother's voice was sharp and piercing. "Do you know shame?" "Shut up." My dad's forehead veins were bulging. "Divorce. We're going tomorrow." It's always this sentence, every time after an argument. I didn't feel like listening to the rest. I pushed back my chair and said in a low voice, "I'm going inside to do my homework." Only then did my mother seem to be put on pause, her voice softening, "Yin Yen. I'm sorry, Mom let you down." I didn't turn back, closing the door behind me. Tears welled up immediately. My phone rang. It was Bai. We weren't together back then, just classmates sitting next to each other. The head teacher arranged for us to complement each other. I was good at English and literature, he was strong in math and physics. He said he saw my birthday on the class registration form and called specifically to wish me a happy birthday. I wanted to stop crying. But that's how people are, the more someone comforts you, the harder it is to hold back the tears. He sensed something was wrong. What's wrong? Why are you crying? Where are you? Nothing. Really, nothing. I sniffled. At home? Wait, I'm coming over. Don't come. It's snowing outside, it's very cold. He didn't reply, and the sound of wind rushed through the phone. And then, he really came. Standing under the dim street light downstairs, his hair and shoulders were covered in a thin layer of snow, and the tip of his nose was red from the cold. He handed me a bright red apple. And a bag. Inside was a small doll Ruby. Most noticeable was the knitted dragon fruit hat she wore. Asked him why he gave me this. He said it was because I had casually mentioned that I loved to eat dragon fruit. At that moment, my heart was pounding, drowning out the sounds of arguing inside and the wind and snow outside. After we got together, I often thought, with that night, as long as he didn't make any mistakes that violated principles, this would always be his get-out-of-jail-free card. Led Sway by the hand and opened the door to go home. The living room light was on. 2 bowls of steaming hot fresh dumplings were on the dining table. No one was around. The bowls were still hot. Clearly, they had just been cooked and brought out, and the person must have just left. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Bai. Something came up at the company, I have to go out. The dumplings are cooked, remember to eat them. About the divorce. Yin Yen, I beg you, think about it again. At least for Sway. I love you, I really can't live without you. I tugged at the corners of my mouth. Love. That word sounds so grating now. Seeing that sentence, for Sway. My heart felt like it was blocked by a wad of soaked cotton, heavy and stifling. Sway saw the dumplings and trotted over to climb onto the chair. Mommy, dumplings. She picked up her little spoon, blew on it, and carefully ate one. Did Daddy cook these? Where's Daddy? Isn't today his day off? She looked up at me, her big eyes filled with confusion. For the past 6 months, Bai had been performing, being home on time every day off. For Sway, today was indeed unusual. Daddy. Something came up at work, he went to work overtime. I pulled out a chair and sat down, not touching the remaining bowl of dumplings. Sway stopped spooning and looked at me. She's very smart. Mommy, her voice lowered, did you and Daddy? Did you quarrel? Not a question, a confirmation. I looked into her clear eyes and decided not to beat around the bush. Yes, I nodded, we did quarrel. We quarreled very badly. Her little face tightened instantly, her spoon resting on the edge of the bowl. Then are you going to get divorced? Her voice was even softer, with a hint of barely perceptible trembling. Like Huey's mom and dad? Hui was her good friend from kindergarten, from a divorced single-parent family. Looking at her, I felt a little soft-hearted. I started to wonder if this was too cruel to a child. But thinking about my past experiences, if I really continued to live this superficially harmonious life with Bai, would that really be good for my daughter? Sway, I held her little hand on the table, looking at her seriously. Sway, you remember Mommy said that you were the most precious gift when Mommy and Daddy were in love. She nodded forcefully. But sometimes, problems arise between adults, like children squabbling. If mommy and daddy really separate, I paused to make sure she was listening. The only thing that won't change is, you will always be our baby, we will always love you. No matter where, whether we live together or not, this love will not diminish at all, it will always be there. Sui Sui's eyes stared unblinking at me, as if digesting my words. Her long eyelashes fluttered, and she asked softly, really? Hui Hui said that after the divorce, her dad didn't want her anymore. That's because Hui Hui's dad was wrong. I said decisively. Mommy and daddy will definitely not abandon Sui Sui. Whether we live together or not, you are our most beloved baby. Daddy will come to see you, play with you, and mommy will always be with you too. It's just, maybe we won't live in the same house anymore. The room was quiet. I know. It takes time for a child to process this. I didn't expect her to understand right away either. Sui Sui looked down at the plump, white dumplings in her bowl. She didn't say anything for a long while. Then, she suddenly jumped off the chair and went around the table. She threw herself into my arms, her little arms tightly wrapped around my neck. Her muffled voice sounded in the hollow of my neck, Mom. If a divorce can make Mom happy, she sniffled, looked up, her eyes a little red, but her gaze was very serious. Then Sui Sui hopes Mom is happy. At that moment, it felt like something had hit my chest hard, both sore and soft. My decision to divorce became even firmer. I hugged the little one in my arms tightly, my chin resting on the top of her head. I couldn't say a word. After lulling Sui Sui to sleep, I gently closed her bedroom door. The living room was silent. Qin Shubai hadn't returned yet. I nestled on the sofa, habitually scrolling through moments. I saw a college roommate I hadn't contacted in a long time posting a photo of her second child's 1-month celebration. A grid of 9 pictures, overflowing with happiness. I casually gave it a like. Soon, a private message popped up from her, Yen Yen. Long time no see. Saw you liked it, your Sui Sui must be big now, right? Aren't you planning to give Sui Sui a little brother or sister? Your man was crowned our top 10 boyfriend back in the day, with him taking care of everything during a second pregnancy, what are you afraid of? Laughing with mischief JPG, I looked at the words on the screen. My fingers unconsciously traced the shallow, indelible lines on my lower abdomen. My body couldn't withstand the torment anymore. This reply was in the input box, but ultimately wasn't sent. Top 10 boyfriend. These 4 words were like a thin needle, gently pricking me. I suddenly remembered the day I gave birth to Sui Sui. The labor pains came quickly and fiercely. As I was wheeled into the delivery room, my best friend Xiaomin chased after me, shouting, Yen Yen, don't be afraid. I'm recording you outside. I'll film Qin Shubai's first reaction for you to see. After more than 10 hours of tossing and turning, I was exhausted. Finally, I heard the first cry of the child. I felt like I was falling apart. Xiao Min was the first to rush in, her eyes red. She gave me an exaggerated thumbs up, lowering her voice but unable to suppress her excitement. Damn. Your husband is amazing. When he heard the doctor say mother and daughter are safe, he let out a yell, and then fell straight backward. The nurse was so scared she almost called 120. They said he was just too happy and exhausted, and his blood sugar was low, so he fainted. She took out her phone. I recorded it for you. Look at how silly he looks. Qin Shubai was indeed tired during that time. On one hand, my emotions were all over the place during pregnancy, and I'd blow up over the smallest things. On the other hand, his career was just starting, and overtime was the norm. As for his parents, his mother's health had been poor, and she'd been taking medication and hospitalized for the past few years. His father had to take care of his wife, so he could only provide us with financial support. The real difficulty came after the birth. Looking in the mirror at my loose belly, the hideous stretch marks, and those embarrassing after effects. Plus, the chaos and sleep deprivation of being a new mother. I often held crying Sui Sui, and tears would silently stream down my own face. Qin Shubai quickly noticed. One night, after Sui Sui finally fell asleep, he gently lay down next to me and pulled me, blankets and all, into his arms. His chin rested on the top of my head, his voice hoarse, but resolute. Yen Yen, we only need one Sui Sui. Let's not have any more. I can't bear to see you suffer even a little bit more. Having the two of you is enough. I'll always love you. Later, during my postpartum confinement, except for breastfeeding, he took care of Sui Sui almost entirely. Burping, changing diapers, soothing to sleep, bathing. He clumsily but earnestly learned to be a new dad. All I had to do was rest. His eyes sparkled when he said, I'll always love you. But why did things change? The warmth from that I'll always love you hadn't even faded. A huge wave of bitterness rushed to my nose. I bit my lip hard, suppressing the urge to cry. My mind flashed uncontrollably through many scenes. 50 days left until the college entrance exam. The Chinese teacher asked us on the podium about our target universities. I secretly wrote Chuanhe University on my scratch paper. Qin Shubai leaned closer to look, his eyes dimming instantly. The note was passed back. What if I don't pass the exam? You're so good at studying. The day before the college entrance examination, my dad finally came home. But not alone. He was holding an infant in his arms, with a young woman standing beside him. My mom was crying, her heart wrenching with sobs. My dad didn't look at her, pointing to the baby and saying to me, Yen Yen, this is your little sister. My world collapsed by half that day. The result was predictable. My college entrance examination score was significantly lower than my usual scores. Qin Shubai passed the exam. I didn't. I said I wanted to retake the exam. For the first time, regardless of who was around, he hugged me tightly, his voice trembling, I'll wait for you. During the year I retook the exam, I was in my hometown, and he was at a university 2,000 kilometers away. Although we weren't together, he saved money on food and expenses to buy train tickets, often crossing half of China, just to see me when I had my monthly break. Worried that I wasn't eating well, he brought a large bag of my favorite snacks. But the school gatekeeper checked it and wouldn't let me bring it in. He handed me the bag across the school gate, then reluctantly took it back, smiling at me through the iron. It's okay. I'll bring you fruit next time. Plenty of it. He told me about the new things at the university, about his quirky roommates, and about the difficult major courses. On the other end of the phone, he always listened patiently to my anxieties, exhaustion, and grievances. The following year, I finally received an admission letter from Chuanhe University. Christmas Eve of my first year of university. He held my hand and walked for a long time on the path in the school's small forest, which was full of colored lights. His palms were sweaty. Under the streetlights, he stopped, looked into my eyes, and his voice trembled slightly. Yen Yen, should we be together? At that moment, the snowflakes seemed to fall very slowly. After we were together, he remembered the days each month when I wasn't feeling well, and brown sugar ginger tea was always prepared in advance. He remembered that I only liked cucumber-flavored potato chips and wouldn't touch any other flavors. He remembered the passwords to all my social media accounts even better than I did. In the second year after graduation, we got married. He took on all the housework, saying with a grin, how could my wife do these rough jobs? He used to love spicy food. But because my stomach is bad, the family recipes have completely turned to bland flavors. These good things, I remember them all. That boy who sent me a ruby doll on a snowy night. That young man who hugged me tightly in the lowest point of my life and said, I'll wait for you. That clumsy but persistent new father who learned to change diapers for the baby during my postpartum period. That man who once said I love you with burning sincerity. A person who treated me so well. Why doesn't he love me anymore? The phone screen dimmed, reflecting my blurred image. Only the ticking of the clock remained in the living room, and the cold city lights shining in from outside the window. He still refuses to get a divorce. Even when he comes home, he forcibly avoids the topic. I originally thought I would just drag it on with him like this. But Chinshubai's mother's condition suddenly worsened. His dad called, his voice tired and earnest. He hoped we could take Sui back for a visit so that the old woman could see her. I couldn't refuse. His parents are both very good people and treat me like a daughter. Even if Chinshubai is 1,000 times wrong, I can't bring myself to be harsh in front of the old woman on the sickbed. I can only go back. In front of my in-laws, I try my best to maintain composure. Although I don't like Chinshubai, I don't want to upset his mother. I can only pretend nothing happened. The atmosphere at home is all held up by Sui. She is like a little son, telling her grandparents interesting stories about school, making the old woman show a rare smile. But Chinshubai's gaze is always fixed on me, with cautious exploration and anxiety. It makes me feel uncomfortable all over. Before lunch, I made an excuse to buy groceries and got up to go out. I hadn't walked far from the yard when I heard hurried footsteps behind me. Chinshubai followed. "I'll go with you." His voice was a little tight. I ignored him and walked straight ahead. Just as I reached the small supermarket at the corner of the alley, I ran into someone I didn't expect to see. Zhou Qingxi. Chinshubai's direct junior, 5 years younger than us. And also an intern he had supervised for a while, although she didn't end up staying at their company. My steps stopped, and a polite smile habitually appeared on my face. "Qingxi? Long time no see." Zhou Qingxi was carrying a bag of fruit. When she saw me, her gaze immediately shifted to Chinshubai behind me. In that instant, her face turned as white as a sheet. Chinshubai's face also drained of color at the same time, his lips pressed into a tight line. The air seemed to freeze for a few seconds. I looked at Zhou Qingxi's pale face, then at Chinshubai's extremely unsightly expression. The coldness that had been suppressed in my heart for a long time surged up. I even smiled, my tone deliberately light. "Why are you both standing there dumbfounded? Aren't you two more familiar with each other than you are with me? Brother Shubai?" I spoke the last 3 words clearly and slowly. Chinshubai took a sharp breath and stepped forward. Almost instinctively, he wanted to grab my wrist, his voice hoarse. Yen. Don't be like this. I know I was wrong, I really know I was wrong. Don't treat me like this." He was incoherent, his eyes filled with a panicked plea. Zhou Qingxi's face was even more unsightly, white as paper. She glanced at me in a flustered manner, her lips trembling as she barely managed to squeeze out a few words. "Sister. Sister Lin Yan. Brother Shubai. I'll go first." Before she could finish speaking, she practically fled. She didn't even enter the supermarket, carrying the bag and quickly disappearing into the other end of the alley. I knew why she was afraid. Half a year ago, I accidentally saw those non-stop chat records, those ambiguous words hidden between the lines. I didn't say anything and directly filed for divorce from Chinshubai. My best friend, Xiaomin, was so angry when she found out that she went straight to the company where Zhou Qingxi was working at the time. In front of everyone, she threw out those screenshots of her and Chinshubai's brother and sister chats. There was no explicit evidence of infidelity. But in the adult world, some things are understood with a hint, known to everyone. Zhou Qingxi's reputation in that circle was completely ruined, and her job naturally fell through. Because of his work ability, Chinshubai still had his job, but he couldn't avoid gossip. Looking at Zhou Qingxi's hurried disappearing back, and then at Chinshubai's pale, panicked face. That familiar, cold feeling of disgust churned up from my stomach again. I shook off his hand that was trying to grab me and walked towards the supermarket without looking back. We had been married for 7 years, and I had always trusted Chinshubai very much. In the past few years, he had mentioned Zhou Qingxi several times. His tone was always a bit disdainful. The new intern is always clumsy, making mistakes even after being taught several times, and I have to clean up her mess. She's actually from our hometown, isn't that a coincidence? Her eyebrows and eyes look a bit like yours, but she's still far from my wife. You're talking about her? She didn't pass the internship period, her abilities are not good. During their internship completion dinner, Sui Sui was only 2 years old and was making a lot of noise at home. I was frazzled and wanted to ask Qinshubai what time he would be back. The phone connected. But it was Zhou Qingxi's voice that answered. Her voice was clear, with a hint of laughter in the noisy background. Hello? Is this Lin Yan? Brother Shubai had a bit too much to drink and is taking a shower at the hotel. Don't overthink it. He forgot to take his phone with him. I'll have him call you back when he's out. My heart felt like it was gently pricked by something, a bit uncomfortable. But I quickly suppressed it. At that time, I was being brainwashed by idol dramas and video accounts that preached absolute trust between husband and wife. I thought I was just being paranoid. Later, Zhou Qingxi found a new job and said she wanted to thank Brother Shubai for his help, and even brought fruit to our house for dinner once. Her smile was sweet and her manners were impeccable. That pricking feeling disappeared completely. Discovering something was wrong was purely accidental. That day, Qinshubai was taking a shower, and his phone was charging outside. The screen lit up with a new message. The contact was saved as a simple Zhou. The profile picture was a cat, very familiar. His phone password had always been my birthday. But other than checking up on him when we first started dating and finding nothing, I thought it was pointless. I trusted him and never touched his phone again. But that day, I don't know what came over me. That saying that circulated online suddenly popped into my head: if you think you are loved, it's only because you haven't checked their phone. I had always scoffed at it. But my fingers stretched out uncontrollably. Unlocked it. Opened the chat box with Zhou. My heart sank little by little. The history was long, endless. For the past 4 years, it had never stopped, not for a single month. The earliest records were normal, all business. Zhou Qingxi asked, Brother Shubai, is this report format correct? Qinshubai replied, refer to the template, look for yourself. He spoke little and never contacted her first. But from some day on, the tone changed. She sent, there's such a tiny stray cat at the entrance of the complex, it's so pitiful. I want to feed it but I'm afraid it will become attached to me. Crying emoji, he replied, if you feel soft-hearted, just feed it. Don't overthink it. She sent, the subway was so crowded today, I almost missed my train. He replied, leave earlier next time. She sent, this song is so good. Shared link, he replied, yeah, it's all right. I've been reading XX's book lately, I recommend it to you. He would occasionally send, when he was annoyed, Sui Sui was being a handful all night, headache. She replied, kids are all like that, Brother Shubai, you're working hard, add drumstick emoji. There were no explicit terms of endearment. No passionate words. It's these trivial shares, those crying emojis with a sense of intimacy, those emotions that involuntarily flow out. Like fine needles, pricking my eyes until they sting. I clicked on Zhou Qingxi's moments. Only to discover that Qinshubai, who usually never comments, would leave a message under her photo of overtime coffee, working so hard. Remember to rest. Would send a head pat emoji under her post complaining about not bringing an umbrella in the rain. He would even tease her new haircut, calling it a mushroom head. I always thought. We'd known each other since middle school, were in the same class in high school, dated in college, and got married after graduation. I understood him as well as I understood myself. He had always been a man of propriety. He once got jealous and started a cold war with me for days because I chatted with my childhood friend a little too much. I always thought he understood better than anyone the distance that should be maintained between opposite sexes. Looking at the sentence on the screen, Brother Shubai, are you asleep? My fingers moved, and I replied, not asleep. The other side replied almost instantly, a cute cat emoji popped up, cat tilting head. JPG, followed by, my boyfriend really doesn't understand me at all. He insists that going to concerts is an unnecessary expense, it's so annoying. What do you think, Brother Shubai? I didn't reply. I put the phone back where it was. I sat by the bed for a while, then got up and went to the next room to check on the sleeping Sui Sui. I remembered discussing what to do if your husband cheats with my roommates in the college dorm. I said back then with certainty, of course, I'll beat the to a pulp and tear the mistress apart. But when the moment actually arrived, there was only a dead silence in my heart. Qin Shubai came out after taking a shower and saw me sitting on the sofa in the living room. He was stunned for a moment, then put on a gentle smile, wearing so little. The living room doesn't have air conditioning, you'll easily catch a cold, go inside quickly. He was blow-drying his hair with his back to the light from the bathroom, steam lingering around him. In that instant, I felt a little dazed. That silhouette in front of me. Was it still the boy I saw under the streetlights when I was 18? The hairdryer stopped. He walked towards where the phone was, picked it up, and the moment the screen lit up, his face turned pale. He suddenly looked up at me, his eyes filled with panic. He knew I had seen it. He knew my bottom line too well. He rushed over, grabbed my hand, his voice trembling, "Yen Yen. Let me explain. There's really nothing between her and me. I just treat her like a younger sister. We haven't done anything. I swear. I understand. There was no physical affair. And I believe he knows what he did now. But I don't understand. Why would someone who once saw me as his only one, who would even get jealous of my childhood friends, allow another woman to seep into his life day after day, sharing the trivial and private feelings that should have belonged only to us? I'm 31 this year. In the eyes of outsiders, I have a stable career, a lovely daughter, and a perfect husband. As he knelt and begged me for forgiveness, with tears streaming down his face, Sui Sui rubbed her eyes, woke up, and stood at the door, timidly asking, "Mommy, Daddy. What are you doing?" I could only force a smile and soften my voice. "Sui Sui, be good, Mommy and Daddy are playing a grown-up game. Go back to sleep." I didn't say I forgave him, nor did I say I didn't. I just silently moved my pillow and blanket to the next room. After Xiaoman retaliated by making a scene at the company. For the next 6 months, Qin Shubai became unusually attentive. He deleted all of Zhou Qingxi's contact information in front of me, swore he would never do it again, and that he would love me forever. Zhou Qingxi was dumped by her boyfriend, lost her job, came to me crying to apologize, saying it was her fault, and then went back to her hometown. In the adult world, there are too many constraints. I tried to deceive myself, to forgive. We maintained a strange balance. But I changed. I started to unconsciously check his phone. Check his driving recorder. When he worked late, I couldn't help but imagine where he was at that moment, and who he was with. I knew I was being unreasonable, like a madwoman. But I couldn't control it. When he wasn't by my side, the words in those chat records, those interactions on social media, would uncontrollably swirl in my head, becoming clearer and clearer. The more he assured me, the bigger the emptiness in my heart became. For those 6 months, I was sensitive and irritable, and he became even more attentive. Until that day. He cooked dumplings, but his eyes were glued to his phone. I said, "Dumplings will stick to the bottom of the pot if they're cooked for too long." Without looking up, he skillfully coaxed, "Don't be angry, wife, I'll pay attention next time. Besides, these dumplings are stuck tight, just like us, inseparable." From where I was sitting, I could clearly see his phone screen was lit up. It was a work email. I knew it. But at that moment, the first thought that flashed through my mind was, who is he replying to? At that moment, I finally understood completely. Once trust collapses, it can never be rebuilt. I can no longer believe him. If all that's left between us is suspicion and torment, can we still go on? Qin Shubai's mother's illness came on suddenly and passed away quickly. On the 3rd day of bringing Sui Sui back, the old woman saw her granddaughter for the last time and passed away peacefully. I helped Qin Shubai take care of all the funeral arrangements. His father had a pension and was a cheerful man. He waved his hand, telling us not to delay our work and to go back quickly. Losing his mother, Qin Shubai seemed to have lost his backbone. He became more silent and more fragile. His eyes unconsciously followed me, filled with deep sorrow and cautious pleading. They were filled with tears, much like Sui Sui when she was wronged. For a moment, I almost softened. The day before leaving, I took the initiative to speak. Let Sui Sui stay with Grandpa for a while, shall we? Go out for a walk? His dim eyes instantly lit up, filled with unbelievable surprise. The weather outside was beautiful, with warm sunshine. We returned to our high school. The gatekeeper was still the same chubby old man. He squinted at us for a long time, then suddenly slapped his thigh. Hey! It's you, kid! You used to bring a big bag of snacks, eagerly running to give them to someone. Well, you really made it. Chinshubai rarely showed a genuine smile. I didn't break this brief harmony, nodded, and registered to enter the school. Along the familiar path by the playground was the school's wall of fame. Behind the yellowed glass panels were photos of students who had been admitted to prestigious universities over the years. I stopped. Chinshubai followed my gaze. Inside the glass panel were 18-year-old Chinshubai and 19-year-old me. Two young faces, wearing the same school uniform, with the same school printed under both photos, Chuanhe University. His eyes were complex, filled with deep nostalgia and a certain pain. I slowly walked forward, recalling and softly talking about high school. In the spring of my sophomore year, he got a terrible haircut, and the whole class laughed at him, but he only asked me, his ears reddening, Lin Yen, is it really that ugly? The sun was beautiful that day, falling on his anxious and expectant face, and I lied against my conscience. No, it's not ugly, it's quite cute. The winter of the year I retook the college entrance exam, I caught a bad cold and coughed so hard on my phone watch that it tore at my lungs. He was so anxious on the other end that his voice changed, and the next day he caught the earliest flight, appearing at my school gate with dark circles under his eyes, carrying medicine and hot porridge in his hand. I spoke calmly. The smile on his face slowly disappeared, leaving only shock and deeper pain. He thought I had forgotten. I thought he didn't remember. But it turned out that we remembered everything, piece by piece. The wind blew through the plane trees by the playground, the leaves rustling. His lips moved, as if he wanted to say something. The wind blew by, swallowing his voice. I understood his realization, his regret. Human nature can't stand scrutiny. Love cannot stay fresh forever. I can understand the occasional wandering of the human heart. But I can't understand how he could let another woman share his life for 4 whole years, keeping me in the dark like a fool. I know all too well that I also have times of fatigue and weariness, that I also have male friends, and that I have also faced temptations. But I have never forgotten Chinshubai and Lin Yen at 18. Yen, his voice trembled severely, carrying the last faint glimmer of hope, his fingers tentatively reaching for my sleeve. Can you still forgive me now? I stepped aside, my gaze passing over him and landing on the photos on the honor wall behind him. That 18-year-old boy, with clean eyes and a bright smile. For the first time, I shed tears in front of him and said, Chinshubai, look. He subconsciously turned his head. I looked at his stiff back, my voice very soft. The 18-year-old Chinshubai is watching you. I heard him say to me, go forward, don't forgive him. After saying that, I didn't look at him again, and turned to walk back the way I came. Step by step, walking very steadily. The wind swirled the fallen leaves on the ground, chasing my footsteps. Behind me, there was a long silence. After going back, the light in Chinshubai's eyes was completely extinguished. We both tacitly agreed that it was completely over. The divorce application was submitted. My daughter is with me. We've saved up some family wealth over the years, with 2 apartments. One is an education fund for Sui Sui, untouched. The other apartment we live in, he said to give to me. I didn't want it. Too many memories are stored there, sweet and bitter, all too heavy. The apartment was listed with an agency, ready to be sold, the money split in half. I took a few $100,000 more from the savings, and the car went to him. He stubbornly wanted to give me more, and I took it all. This is the price he should pay. I don't plan to leave the city. University is here, work is here, friends are here, life has already taken root. I'm used to it. The wind was very strong on the day I got the divorce certificate. Just after walking out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, fine raindrops began to fall from the sky. He held up an umbrella and asked in a low voice, "Can I see you home?" I waved my hand. "The car I called is here." His eyes dimmed, as if covered in dust. "In the future. Can I see Sway Sway often?" I know he harbors thoughts of remarriage. But I can't deprive him of his right to be a father, and Sway Sway needs his love and future support. "Of course," I said, "you are her father. 31 years old. Doesn't sound young anymore. But if you compress life into 24 hours, with 80 years as a full lifespan, it's only 9 in the morning now. 20 years old is passionate, and 30 years old can be just as wonderful." Friends advised me, after divorce, you may not find someone like Chinshubai. Why not take advantage of his guilt and live a good life? I chose to marry him because I genuinely wanted to spend the rest of my life with him as each other's partner. But now, that path is broken. Marriage, to me, has never been a necessity. So there is no such assumption as not finding someone better than him. I won't compromise myself and turn back just because he might be a good choice in the eyes of the world. Nor will I close my heart and reject the possible scenery of the future because of him. The road of life is long, and the margin for error is high. As for him, Chinshubai, finding other partners in the future, that's his business. As long as he doesn't touch Sway Sway's cake, whether he finds 10 or 8, what does it have to do with me? The car is here. I opened the car door and got in. The rain outside slanted against the glass. In the rearview mirror, he stood on the gray steps of the Civil Affairs Bureau, his figure getting smaller and smaller, eventually blurred by the rain. I leaned back in the back seat and closed my eyes. The haze in my heart that had been suppressed for too long was finally washed away by this rain. There was no sense of relief as imagined, nor the pain of tearing apart. Only a sense of calmness, like settling dust. It's like walking a long, long way, finally able to stop and catch your breath. The days ahead are still long. The new day of my life has just begun. The wind has stopped, and the rain has ceased. If the dumplings stick to the bottom of the pot, they should be thrown away. If people leave, the road must continue.